somebody's telling me it's time to get up. Welcome to a day in the life. Let's do this. So just like the title says, we're going to be doing a full day of eating and exercise today. So I'm going to make some predictions for the day here. 1, we're going to do 200 burpees intermittently throughout the day. I'm doing 200 burpees every day for the month of January. This is a 30-day challenge. Hashtag video coming soon. Hashtag grease the groove. Hashtag subscribe if you haven't already. Hashtag on to the next one. 2, we're going to get 10,000 steps in. I've been getting pretty good at this one just by doing tasks around the house and maybe going on a walk or two throughout the day. 3, we're going to get mindful. Do some yoga and meditate. 4, we're gonna intermittent fast for at least 16 hours. 5, we're gonna eat only food that tastes good. 6, we're gonna get a hell of a lot of good vitamins and minerals throughout the day that our body can actually absorb. 7, we're gonna consume about 2,000 calories, including at least 155 grams of protein. So I don't always count calories and macros, but I do it occasionally, pretty much 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, because I like to have a healthy relationship with knowing how much food I eat in what quantities, but also not feeling attached to the food scale all the time. It's kind of like using a speedometer. You want to look at it occasionally, but if you only look at the speedometer and you never look at the road, at the world around you, you're gonna run into a tree or something. Protein has a pretty high thermic effect, meaning it just burns calories naturally. It also promotes building muscle and sustaining muscle, so if you have more muscle mass, you're burning more calories in a rested state. And it's not all about burning calories, but I think building muscle and prioritizing protein is really important and really underrated these days. Most people who intermittent fast do the 16-8 protocol, meaning they fast for 16 hours and eat for 8 hours every day. This can sound like a little bit much, but in reality it just means you eat dinner the night before and don't eat again until lunch the next day. 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating. It's not really that difficult and it's not really that magical. The only reason I do it is because it's easier for me to skip breakfast and not have to worry about cooking food every day. And if I'm currently tracking calories and macros, it's just way easier for me to do that with 2-ish meals than like 4-ish meals. So I know that was a long-winded tangent to start the day, and I hope you're still here. I just wanted you guys to know why I do some of the things that I do. And remember, intermittent fasting is just not eating any calories. Let's do it. That being said, let's have some breakfast. Yeah, just kidding. I don't eat calories, bro. So when you're intermittent fasting, anything that's totally 0 calories is good to go. I also just don't like to drink my calories throughout the day, so I'll be drinking a lot of water and mineral water, some of this sparkling water that really keeps you full, and of course, coffee. Thank God. I always French press my coffee just because I like the taste and I'm kind of pretentious. I did not add any cream to this. Just because I'm fasting, I don't like to have any calories during that time. I know there's some hot debates about adding cream to your coffee and staying in ketosis and not breaking your fast and not having an insulin response, and people can debate over this for many moons and centuries, and I'm sure Socrates has texts about if cream breaks your fast or not. I personally don't care and don't think that it changes the flavor too much. I just like to drink it black. I did, however, add 2 or 3 drops of lysergic acid just to get my mind in the right place. Just kidding, that was stevia. I also prepared some of this loaded water. Doesn't that look good? I actually do really like the taste of this, and it's a really good drink to keep you satiated and to keep your minerals in check if you're fasting. When you're intermittent fasting, I think it's pretty easy to become dehydrated and to also lack some minerals throughout the day, so I think it's wise to just load them all up in the morning and let that power you through until you break your fast. So I'll typically have a glass of water and add 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. I've seen articles that are like 62 things that apple cider vinegar does for your body and mind. Like, it does everything. Specifically right now, I'm using it because I believe it enhances mineral absorption in the body, which is important while fasting, especially with the other minerals we're getting in this drink. It also does a little regulation for your body's pH, and I think it's just good for anybody to have every day, whether you're fasting or not. So we also burn through potassium when we fast, and without enough potassium we can feel weak, which is why people that start fasting that don't take control of their minerals feel real weak and they can't wait for lunchtime because they're gonna crash and die. Adding a little bit of cream of tartar to your drink, just a half a teaspoon, will increase your potassium along with the ACV, and I think it'll keep you more energized throughout the day. I also add a half a teaspoon of Redmond's real salt, and you'll see that I am not afraid of salt throughout this day. I think that a lot of the issue with salt does not come from excess salt, but it comes from acute excess salt, and that if you can level out your salt consumption throughout the day, you're not going to experience bloating and any of those negative effects of salt consumption. It's when we have peaks and valleys of sodium that it really becomes an issue, but if you can keep your sodium levels pretty constant, you're gonna be pretty okay with adding salt to your food. And last but not least, I add some cayenne pepper to this. People say that capsaicin in peppers is highly anti-inflammatory and boosts your metabolism, and even if none of this is true, I am just a freak for that heat, baby. I also prepared breakfast for Maebell. She eats the same thing every day. Relax. I also prepared 2 Kongs and tossed them in the freezer because if you have a 1-year-old dog and need just 20 minutes to watch an episode of The Office later, these are a lifesaver. So now I'm gonna sit down and update the journal, do some yoga, meditation, burpees, cold shower, the usual. Then I'll get to work for a while, and I guess I'll catch in with you guys there. That is nowhere near enjoyable. From one black V-neck right into the next one. Alright, for those of you wondering what I do for a living, I have a degree in multimedia, which means I do anything for money. Preferably things related to multimedia. Right now, I'm working on some graphic design work for a really cool freelance client called The Fat Burning Man, who he has a really cool podcast and a really cool company that makes supplements, so I get paid in both money and occasionally dope supplements. So you may notice that I have a variable height desk. This is because I like to switch it up throughout the day. I don't like to stand or sit for too long. Maebell, what do you want to listen to today, bud? It's always Drake Bell with her. So now we're going to work from the standing desk for a little bit, and pretty soon we're going to break our fast. Exciting. So what the hell is this? Primarily bone broth. I have beef bone broth because it's higher in collagen. I have bone broth because it's high in collagen and protein. I think if you've gone a prolonged period of time without eating, it's wise to have some collagen just because it's good for your gut lining, and that's going to kind of prepare you for more food throughout the day. And this collagen will also help with mineral absorption as you consume more nutritious food throughout your eating window. I also added some salt to this because, well, we already talked about this. And I added hot sauce too, just because, you know, I'm a freak for that heat. Bone broth is like the essence of savory. When you add hot sauce, it's like drinking hot wings. God bless. So I'm gonna take this down, probably go play with Maebell for a little bit, do some more burpees, and then we'll get into the first meal of the day. There we go. Nice. Mission accomplished. Hey Thermos. Thermos, what up, buddy? Want some food? Hey Therm boy. There's my thermos. I'm about to make a protein Frosty and some loaded rice cakes, but while I do that, I'm gonna sip on some Future Greens, AKA the company that I'm doing work for right now. But this is also just a really convenient way to get extra vitamins and minerals in. I think it's good to time this as the first thing you have after breaking your fast with the collagen. Now I might be getting into a little woo-woo science here, but it works for me and it tastes great. Now you'll notice that throughout all these recipes, I am going to be using a food scale. Not because I think you should be married to the food scale all the time or that you should measure out all your food to the precise gram, but simply because I'm doing a day of eating and I want to see how close to 2,000 calories I get so that we can be as accurate as possible for you guys. Let's do it. First meal of the day, macros on the screen. Calculating them right now. So right here we have the loaded rice cakes. This is just 2 rice cakes with cottage cheese and blueberries. Basically, you can think of rice cakes just like a better alternative for toast. It's got way less in it because it's just puffed rice. On top of this, I have a half a cup of cottage cheese mixed with a half a cup of blueberries. And this is cool because the cottage cheese is cold and the blueberries are warm. So it makes a nice little, you know, warm hot sensation. So I mixed the cottage cheese with cinnamon and turmeric. This is for 2 reasons. 1, because it tastes good, and 2, because the cinnamon and turmeric both kind of help the body utilize glucose. So basically the spices in the cottage cheese are saying, hey rice cake, we're gonna use you wisely for the next couple hours. The blueberries were frozen, so I just heated them up in the microwave. Now, some people are like, dude, always fresh, never frozen. A lot of the frozen vegetables and produce that you find at a supermarket is actually of higher quality than the fresh stuff, because the fresh stuff was picked, shipped across the country for a week, and when it's picked fresh and then immediately flash frozen, you can pretty much assure that you probably have a higher quality product, and it stores longer. Win-win. Now we'll get into the protein Frosty. No, I haven't had a Frosty in like 15 years. But from my memory, I think this is exactly what it tasted like. First things first, if you want that Frosty-like consistency, you're gonna have to upgrade to the Ninja NutriBullet. Guys, I used to swear by the normal blender for years, but once I got the Ninja NutriBullet for Christmas, it changed the game. It's like all the other blenders are running dial-up, and this thing is running Verizon Fios gigabit connection with a free year of Disney+. The first thing I add is ice. I add about 100 grams of ice to start, and then I add more at the end. Then I throw in a cup of almond milk, which comes out to about 200 grams. Especially if you're using it in smoothies, almond milk is just a way more macro-friendly version of milk. I also added in a tablespoon of chia seeds because these, I guess, coagulate? Coagulate, is that the word? But they mush with the liquids pretty well and give it a more thick consistency. To get most of the flavor, I used vanilla whey protein and cacao powder. Now from what I remember, a Frosty is like a combination of chocolate and vanilla, so both of these work together pretty nicely. I do recommend cacao over cocoa just because this has more antioxidants and tastes better, so yeah, get this stuff. Now for protein, I use Gold Standard Whey Isolate Vanilla, and I also threw in some creatine for the biceps. Then I realized that I was so consumed with setting up the shots that I forgot to add almond butter powder that I was planning on adding. Now, I want to make a point about this because especially if you're making smoothies, the substitution of powdered peanut butter for regular peanut butter is insane. Now I know that this is almond butter, but the macros transfer pretty similarly. But 2 tablespoons of regular peanut butter is 190 calories, 16 grams of fat, 7 carbs, 8 grams of protein, and 2 tablespoons of the powdered almond butter is 45 calories, 1 gram of fat, 4 grams of carbs, 6 grams of protein. Now we're getting a little less protein, but the whole profile is so much better on the powdered almond butter. Especially if you're using it in smoothies, you might as well make that simple switch. Now along with my breakfast, break, fast meal of the day, I do take a couple vitamins and supplements. So I'm taking a little bit of vitamin C, and you can't overdose on vitamin C, so sometimes I just pour these in a bowl of milk and take them down like cereal. I'm lying. I'm taking 2 of these Mega Omegas, which is basically just an enhanced fish oil. I'm just down with that Omega life. And last but not least, we're gonna pop a Molly, so if I start sweating... Okay, that was just vitamin D. But especially in the wintertime in Pennsylvania, a lot of us aren't getting enough sunlight, so supplementing with vitamin D is pretty smart. A general lack of vitamin D has been shown to have negative effects on our bodies and on our moods. So if you just want to be a little happier throughout the day, try getting some of that extra D. So I was planning on getting back to work after this meal, but my friends just invited me to go rock climbing on a whim in an indoor rock climbing facility in Pittsburgh, so I'm gonna do that instead. What up, dude?
Earth Money, how's it going, man?
Good, man. How you been?
I've been well. Did you get my message on Instagram?
Yeah, dude, totally. I'm bringing a GoPro. I'm actually like vlogging today, and I was just doing like a whole day of what I do, but I'm not really doing anything today, and I was gonna look like a total loser, so the fact that this popped up out of nowhere, people are gonna think I'm cool.
Alright, I'll
talk to you soon. Later, man.
Yep, see ya.
Peace. Bye. It is not a beautiful day in the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. So on the way to go rock climbing, I'm gonna stop at a local coffee shop for 2 things. 1, more caffeine, and 2, I need to use their printer. All right, we're here. All right, you know, if there's not like a nutrition facts available at the restaurant, how do you know how many calories or macros are in what you're about to eat or drink? And the simple thing is just to go on to MyFitnessPal or the Fitbit app and just find a similar thing. Like this is a medium latte. I'm pretty sure it's similar to Starbucks Grande latte. I'm pretty sure they are the same thing. It's just one of them has a little less pretentious name. We are looking at about 7 grams of fat, 18 grams of carbs, and 12 grams of protein. That's not even a bad macronutrient breakdown. When in doubt, pick the closest thing you can find. If you drink a latte with the lid on, you are wrong. There is so much opportunity beyond that lid.
Hey, you saved it.
Oh yeah, there it is.
This is not how it's supposed to be used.
Oh yeah, you just slop it on your head.
Nice, dude, nice. Oh.
Have you got it yet?
I've gotten like both my feet up on here, and like I don't know if I need to like turn my toe out and just get it right like on the crest of the volume there, and interesting. So yeah, it's a tricky one. I've seen one person get it. Yeah.
Nice. This posthumous Mac Miller album is killing me. Shout out to my patrons. So it is getting late in Pennsylvania. We just got back to work for way longer than expected, and then I had to fix the sink again. So please excuse me, but I'm about to cook all of this food and we'll talk about it later. So I was gonna talk about this while I ate, but I think I'm about to have a little bit of eat first, talk later. That was a lot. Man, it's pretty weird to eat on camera. I don't know if I can get used to this. I don't know if you guys will like this. That was like a mukbang. Those noodles there for a minute. Slurping. You see, meals like the one I had earlier and the one I had just now are really great for keeping you satiated. They're high in protein, high in fiber. You're gonna feel full for a long time, which is a good and a bad thing. So on the menu tonight was a big-ass salad with a low-calorie dressing, some macro-friendly stir-fry, and some chaffles. And we'll dissect all three of those things real quick. So the big-ass salad was just spring mix that you can get from the store, and to make the dressing, I just combined a serving of balsamic vinaigrette with a serving of Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire. And I added quite a bit of nutritional yeast. I mixed it in with the dressing and then added all of that to the salad so that this could kind of stick to the lettuce. Some people might think nutritional yeast is gross. I love it. I think it tastes like cheese and it's really high in B12 and other essential minerals, so check it out. So the macro-friendly stir-fry just had some minor substitutions that'll really change the macro composition of a typical stir-fry. The first thing I started for that was the boiled chicken, which you might be thinking, what kind of maniac boils chicken? But trust me, I do it for my girl. So I typically measure in grams, but everybody knows meat in ounces for some reason. So I gave myself 6 ounces of that boiled chicken, but you have to do a conversion. If you cook chicken, it's usually about 3/4 of the actual weight. So 6 ounces of cooked chicken will actually read as like 4.5 ounces. After the chicken's going, I start simmering onions and a little bit of butter. That's the only time I used butter, and then I switched to spray olive oil. I do use Kerrygold's grass-fed butter though. That's just the best. It tastes the best. It's the best for you. Get Kerrygold's. Now my first substitution was in place of rice, I used riced cauliflower. This riced cauliflower is the shit. So I'm just gonna do a quick comparison here. 2 cups of this cauliflower rice is 20 calories. 2 cups of regular rice is 400. Now the second substitution I made was regular noodles for Wonder Noodles. These are made with purified water and cognac flour. Don't know what that is, but it doesn't seem that bad. So I took down this entire package that comes out to 7 ounces at a total of 20 calories. So 7 ounces for 20 calories of that. The comparison for regular rice noodles is 7 ounces for 200 calories. So that's literally 1/10. I also threw an egg in there because, honestly, what good is a stir-fry without a little sack of unfertilized reproductive nutrients? Also, I do buy the organic cage-free eggs. I don't buy all organic food when I shop, but this is the one thing that I think you should always buy because it's only like $1 more. And not only are they better for you, better for the environment, but they also taste better. Pay that extra $1 and get quality eggs. For seasoning, I wanted to use soy sauce, but we didn't have any on deck, so luckily we had stolen some packets from a sushi place. These are non-GMO, non-MSG organic soy sauces, so we lucked out on that front. I also added a decent amount of salt, pepper, turmeric, cayenne powder, and sriracha and mustard. As you can see, I added a lot of sriracha. I even had to fill the bottle with water and shake it up a bit and add a little more. If you haven't combined mustard and sriracha, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm gonna tell you that you're wrong. So let's get into the last item on the menu, chaffles. Chaffles are essentially the best thing that the keto crowd has brought to us yet. I prefer them because personally I don't tolerate highly processed wheat very well, and I still love me some waffles. Chaffles are a great vehicle for absorption, and I like having them on the side with a bigger saucy meal because I kind of like to clean my plate because I'm that kind of sick freak. To make chaffles, all you do is combine a 1/4 cup of mozzarella with 1 egg, whisk it pretty damn good, and toss it in a mini waffle maker, and just let it cook. It's pretty simple. I think that so far we've been gluten-free, potentially wheat-free today, so we can add that to the list. So all of this being said, I just consumed about 700 calories, a shitload of protein, a shitload of fiber, and I am very full. I also smell awful. So I am about to do 10 burpees. We have 40 more for the day. I'm gonna get a hot shower and then maybe have some late night dessert and start another fast. Remember me? Cool. Stay. And for dessert, I'm gonna have one of these Quest cookies. This company is really hot right now. I'll probably have one of these peanut butter cookies with some warm golden milk, which we'll get into in a minute here. But I wanted to quickly dissect how this cookie is so low calorie and so low carb. Even though on the back it has 20 grams of carbohydrates, it actually only has 4 grams of net carbs. So let's first look at the calories. This thing has 14 grams of fat, which ranks in at 9 calories per gram. It has 20 grams of carbohydrates, which rank in at 4 calories per gram. It has 16 grams of protein, which ranks in at 4 calories per gram. So if you add all that up, you get 270 calories, but the cookie actually only has 230 calories. So what we need to know here is that a lot of times a certain degree of fiber gets subtracted from the total calories, and all fiber and sugar alcohols get subtracted from the carb count. So fiber is broken into 2 parts, soluble and insoluble. Soluble fiber ends up giving us about 2 calories per gram, and insoluble fiber gives us 0, meaning when you eat it, you're kind of just full of shit. So essentially, they save some calories on soluble fiber, and I think that's coming from peanuts, soluble corn fiber, and of course, erythritol, the sugar alcohol. So another way they're subtracting a lot of calories from this is they're simply sweetening it with stevia instead of sugar, which is going to save you a ton of calories. It's just some people don't like the taste of stevia, which I don't quite understand. For the macronutrient profile, it ain't too bad. I'm probably going to pair this with some warm golden milk, which is just warm almond milk blended with turmeric, cinnamon, and stevia. Now I add the turmeric because it's anti-inflammatory and quite calming. I add the cinnamon because it's anti-inflammatory and quite calming. These are 2 good things to have at the end of your day when you're done eating other meals and when you're trying to get ready for bed. And I'm also going to blend this in the NutriBullet because it gives it a nice frothy, foamy consistency. Just if you're planning to make warm drinks in a NutriBullet, it's made of plastic, so I heat it up a little bit and then I blend it so it gets all frothy and warm, and then I heat it up again. Now at the end of my day, I do typically still take a little bit of turmeric and some magnesium. If you need me to further explain why I take turmeric, you probably haven't been watching so far. Now magnesium is literally involved in hundreds of chemical reactions in your body. People are taking it for so many different reasons, but the reason I take it late at night is because it also has a calming effect. So if I'm going to be supplementing with magnesium, I at least want to do it before bed because sleeping is like the worst part of my health. I am such a bad sleeper. Speaking of which, let's break out the blue light blockers because it's about that time of night. You better believe I heated up this Quest cookie for a minute. They do make a really good cookie. So that is an entire day of eating. I know what you're thinking. You have consumed a lot of sweets today. And that is true. See, I used to live the sweet life. I used to live the sweet life with Zach and Cody. But then I found all these different fad diets, and I did vegan, and I did paleo, and I did keto, and I was afraid of carbs, and I pretty much quit sugar entirely. And I lived in this life with a fear of food for a while. And the thing that kind of liberated me from that fear was tracking calories. I realized that with this flexible dieting model, that there were no such thing as good or bad foods. There are just foods that are more aligned with your goals and foods that are less aligned with your goals. So this may seem like a lot of information, but if you are trying to get healthy, I think you need to set some goals and parameters for your life rather than just having this vague idea of I want to get healthy, because if that's your goal, you will always be chasing a finish line that keeps moving further away. Because as I've gone through life and gone through body composition changes, I've always just kind of said, I want to get healthy. But I've never had an exact what, and I've never had an exact how. I've always had a why and a who, that's me in the pursuit of health, but the actual what is your goal, and how are you going to get there? You need to figure those two things out, and then you can hit those goals every day. And you can even track yourself hitting those goals in a journal and make it reality and kind of gamify this whole process and actually shoot for something physical rather than just this idea, this construct. I don't think that you always need to be counting calories so obsessively and counting your steps and, accounting for how much yoga and meditation you get. But doing this occasionally from time to time, just taking a glance at your speedometer, making sure you're on track, is liberating. So my girlfriend's gonna be home very soon, and I have a little bit of time to turn the camera off and pretend I'm a real human. So if there's anything that I covered that you want to know a little bit more about, let me know in the comments, but I don't think that's possible because I think I have more footage on my cameras than there is hours in a day. But until next time, thank you for supporting the channel. Subscribe if you want to. Consider joining the Patreon Challenge Club if this whole year of 30-day challenges sounds like something that interests you. And just smile.